Hi, folks. I have another couple of guests for you this week. I had a conversation with Kristen and PL of Cycling 5 to Survive. But it was a first for the Cycling Hokkaido podcast as they live all the way over in BC, Canada. So the conversation was over Zoom. I was super stoked to talk with them as they are doing really great things out there in the world. What Cycling 5 to Survive is PL and Kristen combined their love of cycling with a desire to help the less fortunate. They set out to use their time, talent, and treasures to raise money and awareness for charities so they can fulfill their purposes of creating cycles of opportunity for the less fortunate through sports, education, and business. Their idea wasn't born of fleeting thought. Instead, it emerged from a desire for PL wanting to find more meaning in life. And by the mutual celebration of his 50th birthday and Kristen's 55th in 2022, they started with the number 5, right? Pretty cool idea. So using the number 5, they set out to travel 5 continents by bicycle over the next 5 years with the goal of raising $500,000 for 5 charities. So far, they've cycled North America, South America, and Europe, with Africa starting real soon, Africa starting on June 6th of the summer of 2026, and Asia is on deck for 2027. All right, folks, let's go check out that interview. Hope you like it. PL and Kristen, if I got that pronunciation good. All right. It is very nice to meet you. Today, folks, these are my guests, the Cycle 5 to Survive superhumans. How are you?
Yeah, we're great. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good. Thanks. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, thanks.
I got to say, what you guys are doing out there in the world is wonderful. It's really inspiring.
Wow. Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. As we're kind of getting started here, could you guys maybe introduce yourselves? What's up? And where are you right now?
Yeah.
We're just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. And my wife and I met, we've been married 26 years now.
Wow.
And we met riding bikes. We met at a triathlon race, and then it kind of evolved from there.
Wow. You met at a triathlon. So
Did.
well, that's impressive. So you guys are athletes.
Yeah, we're both multi-sport athletes. Just I think, when we were growing up, we could play a lot of sports. I know PL played more when he moved to Canada. He was raised in Holland until the age of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, multi-sport athletes, and then got into triathlon racing after university. And that's when we met. So yeah.
Wow.
And we did Ironman Canada for our honeymoon. So, we're a little bit cheesy that way.
Ironman Canada.
Super romantic.
That is really cool. That is not only really cool, I got to say, that's probably pretty unique.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we got some good publicity. My wife was a very elite athlete at the time, and we got some good publicity with, Ironman honeymoon captions in the newsletters and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it was a fun way to start our marriage, that's for sure.
That's really, really cool. Cycling 5 to Survive, folks. This is such an incredible concept you guys are doing. How did this all start?
It started quite a few years ago. I was part of I'm one of the partners of a business, and it was doing quite well. And when we were going through a growth phase, I got to a point where the number of hours I was working in a week, the 70, 80-hour work weeks, it just got too much. And I got to a point where there's just has to be more to life than just working this many hours and making a profit in the business. Like, what else is out there? And it reminded me of a time when my wife and I drove one of our sons across Canada to drop them off at university. And we both do a long ride for a charity organization here called the Terry Fox Foundation, who's a local legend. And I couldn't do it that year, and I decided to do a solo bike packing trip. I took 1 week to go across our province, and when I came back, I said it was just the most amazing feeling with people asking me, like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm riding 1,000 kilometers to raise money for a charity, and people giving me $20 here or letting me stay for free at a campsite. And I thought, like, this is an amazing feeling. And I thought maybe there's a way for me to replicate that feeling. I mean, there's a long story to where that all started as well, but that was kind of the crux of why we took cycling as our vehicle to raise awareness for charities.
Yeah.
Then move a little forward. Maybe you can talk about the ages. When I turned 50.
Yeah, so PL has a marketing background. And so at the time it was, well, when I turned 50 and my wife turns 55, maybe we can do 5 rides. And, it's got to be, he's pretty epic. So let's make him epic bike rides, and let's make them in 5 different continents. And then let's raise $500,000 for each charity, hence the 2.5. So the number 5 was representative of sort of figuring out the big picture of what it would look like. Yeah.
Wow. And you're trying to raise $2.5 million for 5 charities.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. How far along are you?
We're just over halfway. We've raised 1.25 million, and we've done 3 continents, and we have 2. So we're just over halfway our fundraising goal, and we're about 60% into our cycling journey. So we got 2 continents left.
And the 2 continents left are Africa and Asia, I think, yes?
Asia.
Yeah.
Wow. So yes. Will we see you here in Hokkaido at some point?
Well, at one point, the big, like when we first started, we said, well, we'll do the Silk Route. And that would have been our big swan song because it's quite long and we would take a long time to do it. We've since figured out that that's too long for us. We don't want to be gone away. Our kids are in university right now, and we have a lot of life stuff going on here. And so we are really open to what Asia looks like. We've also decided that, it's not, the chances are we're not going to head back to these places. So we are doing a little bit of zipping around instead of just riding every kilometer. We sometimes take transport to make up time, or we want to go see a certain thing. Then we will zip there. So it is not out of, it's possible.
Yeah.
Well,
we'd love to see Japan. So whether we do it maybe at the end of the riding, we come visit. But if we have a connection, we will for sure try to look you up if we're in the area.
Yeah. Skip Japan. Just Hokkaido will do.
Okay. Just come to Hokkaido. Okay.
Got it.
And so you've done 3 so far. You've done North America, South America, and Europe, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've been watching your videos and stuff. Your videos are incredible. The scenery, the hard days. I mean, just all of it looks amazing. You're riding so many different terrains. I mean, you're in desert, you're in mountains, you've got washed out roads, you're hike-a-bikes, you're how has it all been so far over the first 3 rides?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big question, isn't it? How has it been?
It's like, I think most things, big challenges, there are days where you want to just, roll into a ball and not go any farther.
Yeah.
And then when you finish it, you look back and you think, wow, I can't believe we just did that. Like, that was the best thing ever. So I think there's a real roller coaster of emotions that happens on multi-day trips.
Yeah.
And, you can prepare as much as you can learn. I would say, PL will probably talk more about the planning, but we kind of have this overall idea of what we want to do. And then, we kind of get there and it's like, okay, let's think for the week. And then you kind of say, okay, let's hear for the day. And then, your day can go sideways 3 hours in. And so you kind of plan as much as you can. But I guess one of our statements is you have to be adaptable. And for me personally, that's been one of the biggest challenges, is how to deal with those stressful moments in the moment, not worrying about, okay, where are you going to end up tonight? We said we were going here, but now we're like a couple hours behind. And so I think we've learned to, we come from a racing background too. So the first ride was the Tour Divide, which is an ultra distance race. And we got a little kind of, let's just go hard. And we did. We rode it really fast and it was incredible. And then we were like, started to hit hiccups in Europe. And then in this last one, we thought, let's bike pack and let's really see what we're doing. So, it's a learning process within each trip and then each year. So for me personally, I've learned something pretty significant after each continent. And I know what I need to work on for Africa, which will probably not work. And then I'm going to have a little, I'll learn something else. Like it really is a journey. And for me personally, it's been there's just more things that I'm learning about confidence. And like, I know who I am and how I ride, but it's pretty easy to lose confidence when you compare yourself to how other people are bike packing or how many days they did it, or I got sick and how come I got in the hospital and they were fine. They just wrote it out for 2 weeks. So it's just, for me, it's a real personal journey in believing in who I am as an individual and how I ride. And so there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I saw that one in your videos. You were quite sick where was that?
That was in Peru.
In Peru. You had a bacterial infection?
Yeah.
Jeez. So, but you have to deal with all that with just life on the road.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, other bike packers get these infections. People get sick and but they can, we were on a little bit of a time constraint. So we didn't have the luxury of staying in one place for 2 weeks. Like we had already had so many hiccups. That was the first part of South America where that was the last the last indication that we should come home. And so we did come home after that. And why I ended up in the hospital versus being able to ride it out for I don't know, right? Like it just happens. Life. And we made a decision to come home and regroup and then, go see our son. Our son was competing in China. So we had the opportunity to go watch him there. And then we came home and we got healthy and got fit again. And then we hopped back on and did the bottom half of South America, which was, by all intents and purposes, the best part of all 3 rides so far. So South America beat us up and then it spit us out in a whole new way. So
some of the scenery you folks were riding through in South America was just stunning.
Yeah.
Things I've never seen before. It was just gorgeous. Just incredible landscapes, the skies. But it wasn't all beauty. I think there were some wind issues, weren't there?
When you get into Patagonia, they're known for winds. We went to one little location and they said they've hit wind speeds up to 160 kilometers per hour. Now we didn't hit that, but we got wind. That's in the southern part we hit wind, but in the northern part we hit elevation.
Rain.
Yeah, in Ecuador we got up to about 4,500 meters in altitude. So that's a whole different kind of physical exhaustion to riding into a 50 kilometer an hour headwind.
Yeah. Mentally, it was so funny. The day we left El Chelten, which was where Fitzroy is, the mountain, which was incredible. We got to hike that. We were coming out and the wind was at our backs when we started, which we were like, oh, this is amazing. And I think we did over 90K in the first
3 hours.
2.5 to 3 hours.
3 hours.
And then we turned 90 degrees and I think we did 24K in 2 hours. It was just okay. So mentally, and then, he's usually out front. And so I will sit behind and draft and I could just tell. And he's just like, okay, I think I need to put my headphones in and we're just going to hammer. And I just sit back there and do a lot of praying at that time just to not lose our minds, But yeah, those are fun days.
Oh yeah. Hokkaido can be a windy place, but we're not getting winds of 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. And it's known for that.
Yeah,
so,
but those are pretty unique anomalies. I just want to quickly add to Kristen's story. I think when people hear us talk about riding across 5 continents, they usually associate the physical aspects because they can relate to, well, I went on a 60 kilometer bike ride or a 20 or 100 and that's tough. So this is tough. But What I think is difficult to communicate is the emotional toll that this can take, and how you have to figure out communication styles, how you have to figure out logistics. How do you manage your own emotions with your partner? Like, do you let them out? Do you keep them in? If you keep them in, like, what effects does that have on your riding abilities, on terms of what you want to do or not do? And then what you leave behind, right? I've had to take a sabbatical from my business. So my business has had to adapt. We've had to hire people. So, you struggle with, who am I now? I'm not part of the business that I started, and I wanted to take a break from the business because I was thinking there's something else. Well, now that I'm doing that, I actually don't like it. I like the adrenaline, the endorphins of the business. Right. So the emotional toll of being away, and then your kids' birthdays, you might have to do a FaceTime because you're not there. So there's aspects to what we're doing that I don't know if people will quite understand. Maybe through the videos, it'll come through a little bit. But
well, I think another thing that's really coming through in the videos is that you're clearly not always comfortable. I think there was one point in your South America trip, you were staying in what looked like an abandoned concrete hut.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that?
That was actually one of the better ones. Yeah. I mean, there's a pretty neat bike packing community, and there's apps around, and so then you can kind of follow along, and that one was recommended. Like, if you can find it, you go there, and then because if you can get shelter in any way, it's always a plus. Whether it's from the wind. So yeah, we were in the one that was just like it was a transportation like carport, and it was super windy, but it was clean. But the other one was an abandoned multi-room kind of building that they used, which is great. And people are staying there because it's all graffiti and it's great. But we were a little taken aback to how much garbage was left. And I thought, like, if you're bike packing, like, that's just the number one rule. It just, like, you do not leave anything. So
leave no trace.
But there was a brand new, super clean porta potty right there. So I was just like, this is perfect. We'll sweep out the stuff and we had shelter, because you just never know. Like, it could rain. There were so many times where we rolled in right before a dump of, like, a downpour, and sometimes that happens, but if you can avoid that, like, that's just what you want. So anytime we found shelter, we were pretty stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just clean it up.
Wow. That's really disappointing. People are leaving garbage behind and things, but at least
it's surprising.
Yeah. But you're finding shelter like that. So, kind of along those lines, so people coming bike packing here in Japan, going like north to south, the whole distance of Japan, they say finding food is really easy because there's convenience stores just all over the place. Of course, there are some remote areas, but I don't think that's been the case with you guys. I think in a couple of your videos, you're saying, okay, we got to find some food today.
Yeah.
Yeah. The routes that we take are usually off-road because we want to try and stay away from traffic. So we're on abandoned forest service roads, old mining roads, logging roads, forestry roads. But I would say, in general, there's usually some source of food within 24 to 48 hours. There are some long stretches that you might have to make sure you have food for a couple of days. But beyond that, food is fairly readily available. I would say the water would be a bigger concern because if it's hot out, you will go through, I will go through a couple of gallons of water.
Oh, yeah.
And it's pretty difficult to carry 8 liters. You can, but you don't ever think you need 8 liters of water during the day if you can't find another water source. So we have chlorine tablets, water filters, and we can take pretty much any dirty water and turn it into something consumable. But I would say the water is probably the one thing that you really have to be cognizant of. The food, I mean, we're not at 0% body fat. So, if we are out of food for, a half a day, like, I'm sure we'll be able to crawl our way to the next convenience store. So
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of the water, that's kind of a funny thing I saw. And again, getting ready for this, I've been watching your videos, bringing up the water. I really liked the video of the makeshift shower at one point.
Yeah, with the
The
water
first
filter.
ride.
Yeah.
Well, and funny enough, I did get sick. I came home with an infection from, I came home with a parasite from that trip because it was pretty much probably the same day. We got water out of this stream. So this was in New Mexico. So there's not a lot of water. It was a drought and there's a lot of cattle things. And so that water we filtered, but we didn't chlorinate. And I came home with a parasite from that. And I mean, I've had a parasite before when I was racing in Mexico. I came back with a parasite. So maybe my stomach is a little more susceptible, but
Sure, sure.
that was probably where I got sick was his little
Well, that was
shower.
really funny. So what was it? You just took your drinking water bladder, I think it is.
Well, that was my water
That's
filter.
the water filter.
The
Oh,
water
your water filter. And you were just holding it above your head, sprinkling water down.
Well, that's because it was like 45 degrees. So he was just covered in sweat and
Yeah.
he's just like, but the water's warm too. It's not even like cold water at that point. We were really struggling in that one to just drink the water because it gets so warm.
It's like over 40, the water is over 40 degrees Celsius.
Yeah,
At one
it's-
point, I poured it on my body and I was like, oh,
It's warm.
It's warm. Like
Yeah.
we should be putting tea bags in our
Yeah.
bottles instead of electrolytes.
Yeah. There's a hack. Tea bags in your water bottles when it's 40 degrees.
Oh, that it's been just really, really interesting watching all your stuff. I mean, it's no wonder you're raising all this money because of course people are paying attention, right? People are watching. It's fun. And you look like you're having fun out there.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when the camera's on, sometimes you got to put on a little bit of an act. But we have worked very hard in the last 3 years that when the camera is on, we're just who we are. Like when I'm in a good mood, I can act like an 8-year-old, and I love it, right? And if she can capture those moments, that's the true, authentic me. And if she captures moments when she's down and she's tearing up on camera, sharing how she's feeling, like that's really us. So we're not putting, like when you watch the videos, those are not acts. Those are really how we're feeling in those moments. And of course, when you're feeling down, that's the least likely for you to pull out a camera on the low moments. Using the high moments is when you capture these moments, right? So but my wife's done a few self-reflections on cameras where we've gotten feedback from our charities and the people at home saying, hey man, you got this, keep going.
Yeah.
Like way to go, like we're cheering for you. And those moments mean a lot. Like people underestimate a little keep going, like you got this, how much energy that can give a person when you're feeling like you're all alone and you're doubting why you're actually doing what you're doing. Like you set out something, your charities are relying on you, your donors are relying on you, and you have to keep going even when you don't want to. So I mean, those moments, the community, and Kristen will talk about the importance of our social media and the reach. And part of it is a bit selfish because we need the encouragement just as much as we want people to hear our story of what we're actually doing and what good we're trying to do in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's a very good point. The low points you guys are showing, make it real, right? It's not just all fun and games. There are real, of course, mental low points, but there are actual physical dangers you guys are facing as well in parts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the adaptability you're talking about, like there were a couple of roads I saw where you're just like, okay, we are not going up that.
The Europe was particularly difficult with navigating in the off-road sections because we were following a specific route, the European Divide Trail. And the adaptability part there was on point because a lot of it was forestry service roads and they would change over from you. Like it's a new route. It's only, I think, 5 years old now.
Yeah.
And so, we were en route in the middle of a forest and you're kind of going, it says we're on the route, but
There is no road.
the road is not there anymore. So, and then that section in South America, same where we took this trail, which was a trail that was kind of part of the route. And we had to take our packs off and I felt like I was a donkey just doing trips back and forth. Like that was a real tough day. And mentally you're just kind of like, oh man, like really, is this what we're doing? Like, come on. So, but Yeah, so adaptability and I guess be memorable is another one, which we're making memories.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what do you figure all your gear weighs all in if you're having to make these treks back and forth?
Well, I took a weight at one point where my bike was fully loaded with water and myself, and my weight with water and everything else is about 310 pounds. So I'll
Oh,
convert that into, divide that by 2.2 in kilograms. So what is that? 140
120.
kilograms?
Yeah. Wow.
140, 150 kilograms?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So it's
Wow.
heavy. So we go through bike chains, tires, and so we got to plan for all that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's another question I wanted to ask. Bike maintenance. PL, I saw, I'm not sure if it's your house or somewhere, but it looks like you have a very extensive bicycle garage.
Yeah, we have one of our garages is dedicated to all of our bikes, all of the parts and everything else
And one car.
in one car. But I'm a bit of a do-it-yourself mechanic. Like I'm not a trained mechanic, but I have all the tools. So before every ride, I strip out every single bearing, every single cable, every single hose, and I clean everything. All the brake calipers I pull apart
Yeah.
so that when I put it back together, I know exactly the parts that are supposed to be running 100% versus halfway through a ride, something breaks down. You're like, well, yeah, it makes sense it broke down because we've already put 15,000 kilometers and we haven't replaced them. So we spend $2,000 or $3,000 per bike rebuilding them for every single ride, just so that we're not stuck in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
because a $50 part wasn't replaced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's very good. So although he says he's not trained, he's a very good mechanic. And my frame is on. I have the same frame, so my frame's lasted. He just had to get a new frame because in South America his was going. So it's funny. We were just figuring out too. We come from a road cycling background where everything is how light can you get it, and so you're looking for Dura-Race kind of stuff, whatever. And then we realized we had these really nice components on our bikes year two, and we're thinking, okay, we can't that's dumb. We need all the
All
steel
steel,
stuff.
no aluminum.
So the weight issue is secondary to the durability. Whereas
Yes.
the first one and the second one, we were just like, oh, we've got all the really nice components. And we're like, okay, we need the cheaper stuff
Yeah.
that's heavier, that's going to
stronger.
last. So
Yeah.
you figure that stuff out because replacing it too is an issue. Like going to
Yeah.
Africa, we're like, okay,
Yeah. A lot of these places you're in, there's not PL's bike shop down the street.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So have you ever had to have stuff delivered to remote locations?
Oh yeah.
Two times. Once in Europe, her bike rack broke in half,
Oh,
and we had to get a new one shipped. And then in South America, my derailleur broke in half, which is something I've never seen before. And that took a week to ship. And then while we were doing that, my front fork, where the through axle sits, one of the holes had worn out. So I was wearing out the bearings on my wheel. So we had to get a new fork shipped down. So that's where the northern part of South America was a disaster. Like we only rode maybe 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers in a month because of those 4 weeks. 2.5 of them were spent waiting for bike parts.
wow.
So that was a disaster. That was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Just amazing riding. You guys just must be so energized being out there. I mean, even getting through the rough bits, you sit back afterwards and you go, wow, that sucked, but I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hindsight is always, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I ask, so you have 5 charities. What are they?
Yeah. So we, first of all, our mission statement is breaking cycles of opportunity through business, sport,
Creating cycles.
creating cycles of opportunity through business, sports, or education. So when we set out to figure out what these 5 charities are, we knew that we wanted something to do with one of those 3 pillars because I'm in education, PL's in business, and we met through sport. So of the 5, the first 3, the founders are local. and they're in our area. So one of them, the one that we're going to in Africa right now is Hope for Cora. And we've been involved with them for a long time. Our children were pen pals with kids from Ethiopia from this charity way back.
Wow.
And so we were involved with them. So that's one of them. Opportunity International is our second charity, and that specific one is Aspire, which is microfinancing for women in the Dominican Republic. And again, we met them through a local connection. Himalayan Life is in Nepal, and we raise money for putting kids through school, feeding, clothing them, and sheltering them through to grade 12. And he was brought to us from a friend of ours, actually, a family friend. That's how we met them. Lithuania College University is in Lithuania. PL's actually, that's a business one, a business kind of college. And his partner has been on the board for years, and PL's been asked to be a mentor there for years. And so we raise money for Pathways to Peace, which is paying tuition for students that come from countries at war, which is fantastic. That's a neat program. And then IDE, which is the Paul Polak Foundation, which is business innovation. They're all over the world. So, we found a continent. They're kind of in that. And PL's actually really excited about that one.
It's where they go into communities and they train and educate the locals on how to use resources. So whether it's how to do organic farming, how to figure out how to do natural pesticides, how to use resources like bamboo to make water pumps, how to use garbage pickup systems, those kind of things. So it's a little bit of like seed money to take risks on local entrepreneurs to help them grow businesses and do better in the community. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, that is amazing. And of course, in the show notes, I'll put links to all your stuff up and things like that. But next on deck is Africa. What's going on? Where are you starting? What's the plan?
I'll just talk maybe the beginning part. Ethiopia is having an election at the beginning of June. So we originally were flying out at the beginning of June to start riding, but we've been told to just kind of hold off for a bit. So we've decided we're leaving June 6th from here, and we're flying straight to Tanzania, and we're going to hike Kilimanjaro first. And then we're going to do a safari. Because we have a little bit of time, and we had already planned to leave early June. And then from there, we're going to fly into Addis to our charity. And we're going to spend a week there with the charity, meeting some of the families that we personally sponsor. They're putting on a bike race for us. They've got a great thing going there. And then we will fly out of there on the 28th into Nairobi, Kenya. And then we will start riding from there. So the route originally is Cairo to Cape Town. But with the northern part of Egypt, Sudan, and even Ethiopia is not very safe to ride right now. We're going to then head to Nairobi, and then we'll start our ride from there.
Wow.
And then we make our way sort of, the bike route kind of goes East Africa across and then South Africa. So we'll hit Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa. You kind of go like this.
Wow.
I might have got that out of order, but yeah.
Incredible. And wow. And have you got are you going to be mostly camping or hotels or what?
So it's similar to what Kristen mentioned earlier. You get a gist of the route. And then once you're en route, we try to plan 3 to 5 days in advance. So once we get into Nairobi, we will probably figure out, once we're at the airport, how do we get out of the airport onto a road that takes us out of the city? And
we got to build our bikes first.
Wow, sure.
Right.
Yeah. Of course.
Well, it depends. We actually landed the plane and we built our bikes at the airport and left our boxes there. And then I think in Kenya, we'll get a shuttle to our hotel with the boxes, but it's pretty funny sometimes. You're just like, well, do we build our bikes here? Or it's like, yeah.
Yep, sure.
But then you plan 3 to 5 days in advance because you may have a road picked that people say, well, that's actually like a 5-lane interstate. You can't go on there. Like, oh, yeah, I didn't zoom in close enough on that map. You want to take the road that's like parallel to it. That's a little side gravel road. Okay, got it. So that's where you really get into the micro details is once you're there.
Yeah.
And then we, depending on the camping situation, we try to camp as much as possible. And then we sort of find a hotel or a hostel or something like once a week for sure, maybe twice, just to shower, maybe get more food. Because we do a lot of media, we have to get some decent Wi-Fi to upload. So that's the first few rides, that was very stressful. And so we've kind of changed up how we're going to do it for Africa because we just have no idea. So we're not bringing a drone on this trip where we have in the past. So yeah, needing Wi-Fi is kind of a big deal. So we may hotel more than most. And then we aren't quite sure. Like, I don't think we're going to tent at night as much as we maybe would have in Patagonia.
And that's because of the mosquitoes with malaria, the critters on the ground, like the spiders, snakes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They said if you can sleep somewhere that's off the ground, that's much better than on the ground. But of course, every country and geographical region is unique. So if the locals say no problem, then we'll sleep on the ground. If locals say, yeah, you probably shouldn't, then we're not going to.
Good idea. The
We
locals
usually
know.
roll in and ask the locals. Yeah. Because that's the best thing to do is just say, you just connect with people. And a lot of people, there's a lot of cyclists that kind of go through these areas too. So,
Yeah. Well, that's another question I wanted to ask. You must have met some really interesting people on the road as well.
Yeah, we have. It's the best part. When you roll in on a bike, people are so curious and they're so welcoming and giving of their food or shelter. We've been invited into some amazing places over the last 3 years, and that's the high. Like, we do want to be memorable, and so one of the things we learned after the first year is it's great to wild camp all the time, like by yourself somewhere in the forest. But that's part of our mission, is meeting the locals and sharing our story. So we actually will probably stay with people more than most, because that is a big goal for us, is to meet people and to share what we're doing. So we always try to find a community. We like wild camping, don't get us wrong, but I'd rather wild camp in the community square where we can have breakfast with somebody and share a story and meet them. And because most people will speak English in Africa, that's also really helpful. South America, I thought my Spanish was decent. It wasn't. So that was probably a real big regret, is we couldn't communicate as well as we wanted to. So I'm almost looking forward more to Africa in that way, is that our English, hopefully more people will speak English. At least that's the assumption. We could be really wrong, but
well, no, it sounds absolutely incredible. And just kind of as we're winding down here, any kind of final thoughts? I mean, you guys are sorry, PL, if I may, one thing you're talking about, being memorable for other people. PL, I think you're probably very memorable. How tall are you?
6'7".
It's right. So people probably remember the 6'7" guy coming through on a bike pretty easily.
Yeah. A lot of people, especially in South America, they love taking pictures with me.
Yeah.
And so my wife has footage of people wanting to send her, and they're all like up to my armpits, right? So it's pretty funny.
Very funny. But that must be a lot of fun or does that get annoying after a bit?
You know what? I'm pretty fortunate that I don't mind attention. Meaning that, and I say that in all humility, that if someone wants to make fun of me, I roll with it. If someone wants to put me on stage, I'll roll with it. I'm not overly worried about public speaking or what people think of me. So I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin, and I know that if I can make somebody else smile just by me being myself, that's a pretty easy gift to give, and I can give a lot of those. So that's not a burden on me at all.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Kristen and PL, thank you so much for doing this episode of Cycling Hokkaido. It has been an absolute pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you guys. I'm really happy. I'm really happy it all came together and we could do this because you guys were actually just in California?
Yeah.
Wait, was that your bear video?
Yeah.
Jeez. Because it's a real thing here in Hokkaido, right?
Yeah. And I mean, bears up here too in BC, but that was just there. It was, oh gosh, it was a beautiful bear. Like, I mean, big brown bear, just kind of sauntering through the campsite and where we were having breakfast. So yeah, it was pretty, I mean, it was funny. Our brother-in-law was pretty scared because the night before they had heard that they saw a bear. And so we were making fun of him because he was we were all like, oh, that's fine.
Hey, I know we probably only have about 30 seconds, but what people can do is follow us on social media and sign up for our newsletter at Cycle 5 to Survive. Our newsletter comes out every 2 to 3 weeks during our rides where we will have a video of our journey and get to know us and what we're doing. Like, we want to create awareness because we are on a journey to change lives around the world. And the more people that know and the more people we can influence, the more we feel like we've done our part.
That was my conversation with PL and Kristen. Folks, thank you so much for coming on the show and best of luck in Africa. I know you guys are just going to crush it out there and I'm really looking forward to following along with your journey. Folks, you can see links to their Instagram, their webpage, so you can sign up and follow along with their newsletter. I know I'm definitely going to be following that one, folks. That is going to be a lot of fun. And as always, listeners, if you like what you hear, follow the show, hit that subscribe button, leave me a kind review, share with friends who are looking to come and cycle around Hokkaido. And as always, I'm looking forward to meeting many more of you out there on the road this summer. Have fun out there, folks. Love ya.
Cycling Hokkaido!